A nivel mundial, el tráfico de los seres humanos continúa, prácticamente sin consecuencias. Es un comercio lucrativo y de bajo riesgo para los traficantes, con sanciones a menudo menos severas que las relacionadas con el tráfico de drogas, por ejemplo. Pero para los millones de mujeres y niños atrapados en la industria del sexo, el costo es incalculable. Los costos físicos y psicológicos son los mayores, y sin embargo en el día a día este tema ni se toca en los medios convencionales, como en las noticias en que estés viendo este video. Este caso es el de una chica que fue engañada por un supuesto trabajo de modelaje, el cual tenía todas las supuestas pruebas de ser un trabajo normal, muy profesional, con página web, reseñas anteriores de otras chicas, fotografías profesionales. Por lo que esta chica no tenía idea en lo que se estaba metiendo. La mayoría de estas falsas empresas saben muy bien cómo atraer jóvenes con sueños, prometiéndoles grandes cantidades de dinero y fama, por lo que muchas caen en sus perversas redes. Acá veremos un extracto de la entrevista entregada por esta joven y lo que tuvo que sufrir durante esta espantosa experiencia.
I've seen portfolios. I'd really like to speak with some prior models and see how the experience went for them. So I had 2 different FaceTime calls. The girls were really, really sweet. They had Instagrams. They were like, oh, these guys are the best to work with. I made great money. It was super easy. They're so kind. You'll be super comfortable, in and out in like a day, and then you're good. And if you want to do the porn part, it was super enjoyable, best sex I've ever had, you won't regret it, kind of thing. And I'm like, nope, absolutely not. Clothing modeling. And they're like, oh, okay, well, it's an option. Like, they had also said it's an option, but when I declined, it wasn't like, oh, you can't come. That literally dropped their daughters off. And my parents knew where I was going. They had my flight info. They sent me my return flight too before I went out, and my hotel info. I had all of it in an email. Told my mom everything. I'm going out for clothing modeling, and then she doesn't hear from me.
Como podemos ver en la entrevista, esta chica revisó anteriormente las redes sociales, las reviews, las fotos, la página web y todo relacionado a la supuesta empresa que le prometía el trabajo. Incluso le mandó toda la información a sus padres para que ellos estuvieran al tanto, y también en el hotel donde ella se iba a hospedar. Sin embargo, todo se tornó mal desde aquí.
Like, do you mean once I got there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I landed, and Teddy Geige, he was their photographer. I had no idea who he was, but I had talked to Matthew Wolf on the phone, and he's like, hey, there's gonna be a black Escalade out front to pick you up. Super excited. We'll just let you get like a good night's rest tonight, and then we'll go to the beach and shoot tomorrow, so that we have better lighting. And I'm like, oh, okay. That sounds good. And then I see the black Escalade. I get in. He came around and opened the back door for me, and put my suitcase in, and I was like, oh, super, what a gentleman, thank you. And then the second we start driving, the doors lock, and I kind of had a little bit of a weird feeling, and I like moved the door a little bit, and it wouldn't budge. So I was like, I started getting wary. And then they took me to Andre Garcia's apartment, and automatically getting out of the car, Teddy comes up, like opens my door for me. I couldn't open it, has his hand on my back, and automatically there's another guy that comes up, and he was a bigger guy. I don't even know what his name was. He was the one that eventually took me to the airport to leave when they finally let me go. And he stood next to me. So I have men on either side of me, and I'm like, okay, where are we going? And they were like, oh, we just needed to like take a quick headshot of you, and we have a makeup artist for the headshot. And I'm like, oh, okay, like that seems
normal.
Yeah, like everything's like, it's all, oh, it'll be great. They're being super it'll just take a minute. Great, yeah, great makeup artist, really cool apartment. Once I was in the room and the door shuts, the bigger guy stands by the door. And they're like, oh, hey, like, let's take your purse for you. So they take my purse, which has my cell phone in it. And then, okay, this is, like, can I have my phone? And they're like, oh, we just placed your purse in the safe, just to be safe. We don't want you thinking we're stealing from you or anything. And I'm like, okay, when is this, like, gonna happen? It's getting late, and it just gets weirder and weirder. Hair and makeup are done. They're like, oh, you probably want to shower. Go use the shower and straighten your hair. And I'm like, I showered this morning. I'm good. And my hair and makeup is done. And then they told me to take my clothes off. And it was what they called the panda pic. They had a picture of a panda, it's like artwork in the background. And at that point, it was Andre Garcia, Teddy. And so I have multiple big men in the room. I'm 5'5", don't have my phone, and they're like, okay, take your clothes off. Michael Pratt needs a picture to make sure you are who you say you are. That's when I really felt terrified and began to panic. And eventually they stripped me, not by my choice. And then they took me, 4 men, including Andre Garcia at that point, took me back down to the Escalade, and they're like, we're just gonna take you to your hotel room. And I'm pretty traumatized at that point. I'm like, I want my phone, I wanna go home, I don't care about the yoga clothing modeling, I'm not doing this anymore. And they're like, okay, well, we'll just drop you off at your hotel then. There's no one around. We go up to the hotel, and they have all these boxes. And the moment that I knew I was in really big trouble was when the door shut. And one man stayed outside while one guy like left with the car, and Teddy and Andre are in the room, and the other guy's guarding the door from outside. And they automatically unplugged the hotel room phone and set all these papers out in front of me. And at some point, the guy that was guarding the door came in to intimidate me into signing these papers, and I'm like, what is this? And they're like, oh, it's just for your athletic photo shoot tomorrow. And I'm like, I don't even want to do it anymore. Like, can I just go? Can you guys go? And at that point, I started getting threatened. I was intimidated. They're standing over me saying, sign here, initial here. And I'm like, can I read these? And no, everything. We have to hurry. And long story short, that's when everything began. From like 9 p.m. till 4 in the morning, I was raped. They took breaks and told me I had to refilm scenes. I tried to run naked from the hotel room at one point. I was physically shoved back, and there was someone outside of the door. I didn't even make it to the door. I said, fuck you, I'm not doing anything else.
Right.
And they're like, oh, then we'll put everything on the internet that we have right now with your full name, or we'll send it to your parents. Do you want them to find out? So I went through I froze, I fought. I didn't know if they would kill me.
Right.
I was quite terrified of that. And then it got more and more threatening, and then like, oh, do you want me to hurt you now? Do you want it to be rougher? And every time I didn't look like I was enjoying it, they would refilm the scene. Yeah, eventually I just wanted it to be over, so eventually I did what they said.
Yeah.
But at no point did I enjoy any of it.
Right.
During my deposition, their lawyer put it up, a freezed still image of my video of me in a very compromised position, nude, and says, sure looks like you're enjoying it in this part. He was trying to get me to admit guilt or some sort of ownership. And I had to physically run from the room and throw up.
Wow.
And when the raping did finally stop, when they finally got what they wanted, I locked myself in the bathroom.
Como pudimos ver en la terrorífica entrevista, vivimos en un mundo en el cual la obtención de dinero a cualquier costo no tiene límite moral ni ética. Así que mucha preocupación con este tipo de trabajos, ya que un conocido o conocida tuya podría estar en graves problemas. Por favor, si te ha gustado el video, déjame un like y suscríbete. Sígueme en Twitter ya que subo contenido diario. Esto ha sido Éxodos y nos vemos en la próxima.